Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the language of big business. And today we are looking at a company that is fueling up its future, quite literally. We are diving into a filing from HF Sinclair Corporation, a big player in the energy sector. Today we are going to break down their latest report to see what they are planning for the coming year, especially when it comes to spending money on their operations and growth. So, what is HF Sinclair telling us about their spending plans for 2026? They are outlining their expected big expenses, and it looks like they are investing significantly, especially in keeping their existing facilities running smoothly and also in growing their business. Let's look at the numbers. They are planning to spend $650 million in total on what they call sustaining capital investments. Think of this as the money needed to keep everything humming along, what they need just to maintain their current operations. A big chunk of this, $325 million, is earmarked for turnarounds and catalysts. These are crucial for refineries and chemical plants. Turnarounds are planned shutdowns to do major maintenance, repairs, and upgrades. Catalysts are materials that help chemical reactions happen faster and more efficiently. These are not glamorous, but they are absolutely essential for safe and efficient operations. Within that sustaining investment, refining is taking a large slice, with $225 million budgeted. This makes sense given their business. They are also setting aside $30 million for marketing and another $30 million for midstream operations, which typically involves transportation and storage of oil and gas products. They have smaller amounts for renewables at $6 million, lubricants and specialties at $25 million, and corporate at $9 million. But it is not all about maintenance. HF Sinclair is also planning to spend $125 million on growth capital investments. This is the money they are putting into expanding their business, building new things, or improving existing assets to generate more revenue or profits in the future. When you add it all up, the total planned capital spending for 2026 is a hefty $775 million. That is a lot of money, showing they are serious about both maintaining their current position and pushing forward with expansion. Now, the company is being very clear that this spending guidance is meant for informational purposes. They are saying this information is being furnished and not officially filed in a way that would make them liable under certain securities laws. They are also stating that this information will not be seen as part of any future registration statements unless they specifically say so. This is a common legal disclaimer to manage expectations and liability. This next part is super important for understanding any company's future plans. They are issuing a cautionary statement regarding forward-looking statements. This is essentially a legal disclaimer, a safe harbor statement, meaning they are telling us that some of the things they say might be predictions about the future, not just facts about the past. They go on to explain that any statements in this report that are not about historical facts are forward-looking. These are based on what management believes and expects right now, using the information they have. They are very clear that these are not guarantees of what will actually happen. They admit there are risks and uncertainties, and that actual results could be very different from what they are predicting. They are particularly careful to say that their forecasts for future results of operations are based on their current operations and do not include any potential impact from future acquisitions or sales of businesses. This is crucial to note because a lot can change with mergers or divestitures. Now, they list a whole host of factors that could cause actual results to differ from their predictions. This is where we get a real picture of the potential hurdles, things like the supply and demand for oil and refined products, the evolving expectations around climate change and greenhouse gas emissions, competition price spreads between crude oil and refined products, transportation issues, refinery disruptions for various reasons such as weather or even workforce infections, environmental regulations, financing availability, how effective their investments and strategies are, their ability to complete construction projects on time and within budget, obtaining permits, integrating any future acquisitions, and even things like global hostilities, trade policies, economic slowdowns, and inflation. They also mention limitations on their ability to pay dividends or buy back shares depending on market conditions. They specifically call out the uncertainty surrounding global hostilities, mentioning shipping disruptions in the Red Sea and ongoing conflicts in the Middle East. This highlights how geopolitical events can directly impact their business, affecting crude oil supplies and the markets for their products, and creating financial market instability. that could hinder their ability to raise capital. They also emphasize the impact of general economic conditions. This includes trade policies like tariffs, which can affect costs and demand, economic slowdowns or recessions, and periods of increased or prolonged inflation that can drive up costs and potentially decrease consumer spending on energy products. Looking at this from a Warren Buffett perspective, HF Sinclair is making a substantial investment in its infrastructure. The $775 million capital expenditure plan signals a commitment to both preserving its asset base and pursuing growth. The significant allocation to turnarounds and catalysts, $325 million, shows a pragmatic approach to ensuring the long-term health and efficiency of its refining segment, which is its core business. This is a necessary cost of doing business in this industry to avoid larger, more expensive failures down the line. The $125 million for growth capital is also a positive sign, indicating they are not just maintaining the status quo, but are looking to expand and potentially increase profitability. However, the extensive list of risks and uncertainties they've laid out, from climate change expectations to geopolitical instability and economic downturns, cannot be ignored. These are not minor concerns, they represent significant headwinds that could impact demand for their products, their operating costs, and their ability to access capital. The company is essentially acknowledging a very volatile operating environment. Their ability to navigate these risks effectively while executing their capital expenditure plan will be key to their success. If they can successfully manage these external pressures and deploy their capital wisely, the investments in growth could pay off handsomely, but the sheer number and magnitude of the potential challenges suggest a cautious outlook is warranted. The detailed focus on refining maintenance also suggests that meeting environmental regulations and operational efficiency are top priorities, which is understandable given the current global focus on sustainability and energy transition. And finally, the report is signed off by Atanas H. Atanasov, their Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. This indicates the financial leadership is endorsing these plans and disclosures. Overall, HF Sinclair is projecting a period of significant investment, signaling confidence in its core businesses while acknowledging a landscape filled with considerable risks. The success of this ambitious spending plan will largely depend on their ability to manage external economic and geopolitical forces alongside their internal operational execution. Alright, that is our breakdown of HF Sinclair's latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Do you think their big spending plan is a smart move given the current economic climate? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.